Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on the brand new Sony Xperia Z5. Now this is the latest flagship phone from Sony, which was released just a couple of months ago. I got my review unit just a couple of weeks ago, and thanks to Clove Technology for sending me a review unit. I will leave a link in the description for you guys to go and have a look at clove.co.uk, and they have got some amazing deals going on for the phone and for many other phones as well. Okay, so like I said guys, I've spent almost 2 weeks with the phone, and all this time I've been collecting data about the battery life. I've been taking screenshots on Wi-Fi performance on the battery life on 3G and 4G. So I've done everything that I could in the last 2 weeks, and now I'm ready to share my experiences with you guys. So without wasting any more time guys, let's quickly jump into this and see how the battery life on the phone is like. Okay, so when I got the phone for the very first day guys, as soon as I turned the Wi-Fi on, I got this system update straight away, which was a 221 meg in size. So it was a big one, and it did not give it the marshmallow update, which I'm sure this phone is due sometime in Jan, but it did update the firmware of the phone, which is now 32.0.a.6.152. Okay, so then I started using the phone. On the very first day I had the phone on airplane mode on because I was at work, and I had no time to be at home. So at work I haven't got the best signal, so I had to test the phone on airplane mode with Wi-Fi on, and at around 50% guys, I was able to squeeze out 2 hours and 34 minutes of screen on time, and that uses the general use like Facebook, WhatsApp, lots of social media, lots of YouTubing as well, and I was able to squeeze out 2 hours and 34 minutes of screen on time. And further down, as you can see, this was my usage. I was mostly on Wi-Fi, and I used the phone, like I said, quite a bit, and this is what I was able to achieve. And the end, when the battery was down to 10%, I was able to get 4 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time, which is pretty much what you expect from a 2015 Quad HD phone, but not a full HD 1080p phone, which has a 2900 milliampere battery. Now I've had the Sony Xperia Z3, and I'm sure those of you who follow me on YouTube, you must have seen the battery performance video on the Xperia Z3. In my opinion, if you're confused between the Z3's battery life and the Z5's, I can easily say that a Z3 has a far better battery life than the Z5. The Z5 has a Snapdragon 810 along with 3 gigs of RAM, and it could be the Snapdragon 810 which is not allowing it to give it a good battery life. But like I said, this is for most people in 2015, 4.5 hours of screen on time is more than enough. But then phones, I'm talking about like the LG G4 for instance, or the Galaxy S6 Edge or the S6, them phones have got Quad HD screens. Now this is a phone with a full HD panel and even a bigger battery than these phones. So I don't know, for some reason I was only able to squeeze out 4.5 hours of screen on time. There were also some abnormalities which I saw, which I will probably discuss in the video a little later on, but for now this is what I got in the first day. Okay, so going further down, like I said guys, 10% pretty much all day long, and I was able to squeeze out 4 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time. Okay, next up, I think if I remember correctly, yeah, I had the phone on standby. I wanted to see how much was the standby drain, because lots of people obviously are interested in these figures. They want to know how the standby figures on the phones are. Now this standby figure at about 3 o'clock, 11 past 3 in the morning, I left the phone fully charged, and when I got up at about 11 o'clock in the morning, 10:55, just 5 to 11, it didn't lose any battery at all. So the standby times on the Sony Xperia Z5 are really good. Despite having a Snapdragon 810, it still managed to give you a very good, decent standby time. And by the way, this was without the stamina mode that comes built in on the Sony phones, and I will show you a little later on. I also tested the battery drain with stamina mode on as well in standby, which I will show you a little later in the video. Okay, so I kept on using the phone again on Wi-Fi guys, and this time around the figure was slightly different from what I had before. I got only 1 hour and 54 minutes of screen on time on Wi-Fi for some reason. I don't know why. I think I must have taken a screenshot earlier, but I didn't take, I think, yeah, but something was draining the battery out for some reason. I don't know what it was, but this was the first abnormal behavior from battery which I saw, because on Wi-Fi, like I said on the previous screenshot, we got almost 2.5 hours of screen on time when the battery was down to 50%, but here at 45% I was only able to squeeze out 1 hour and 54 minutes of screen on time. Further down, like I said, pretty much on and off all day, apart from the initial standby mode, which I left the phone for a while, and then I was using the phone pretty much all day long. long. And at about 22:42 at night, battery down to 13%, I was able to squeeze out 3 hours and 15 minutes of screen on time. Like I said, guys, this was the first abnormality I noted in the phone. As soon as the phone went down to 50%, I could see that 1 hour and 54 minutes of screen on time wasn't the right figure, and this figure did not match the one from the previous day. So I did look into it a bit, but I couldn't really find the reason. But anyways, this was what I found, and I was only able to squeeze out 3 hours and 15 minutes. And mind you, there was no 4G in this. This is only Wi-Fi. But the first few days I was only testing the phone, this is Wi-Fi only, not on LTE, not on 4G. So this was all on 3 hours and 15 minutes. A bit abnormal, a bit shocking, but that's what I got. Anyways, let's go further down, guys. Now here, I think if I remember correctly, yes, I tested the standby battery again. I wanted to just make sure that I take at least a couple of readings, not just one reading only. So around 1:24 in the morning, I left the phone again on 100%, and there was no airplane mode on. Airplane mode was off. It was a normal cellular GSM network. And when I looked at the phone again at 11:39 in the morning, as you can see in the screenshot here, it only lost 1%. So one thing's for sure, if you leave this phone at night time with Wi-Fi off, everything off, just the phone on its own, you're bound to get definitely very good standby battery drain on the phone. So once again, well done to Sony for at least keeping a check on the phone standby time. And by the way, the phone hasn't got no marshmallow, it's got lollipop, and this is almost like the way DOS does. So well done to Sony and their optimizations that they're able to at least keep the battery drain to minimum in standby mode. Okay, again guys, here using Wi-Fi down to 48%, and I was able to squeeze out 2 hours and 58 minutes of screen on time. Now as you can see, this was the exact abnormality I was talking to you about. In the first screenshot at 50%, we got 2.5 hours. On the second screenshot at 50%, we got 1 hour and 54 minutes. On the third screenshot at around 50%, we are getting nearly 3 hours of screen on time. So this was a bit up and down, and I was just struggling to find out, what could be the reasons. I mean, my usage was the same every time I took these screenshots. It was always Facebook, always social media, Google Plus, Twitter, my normal day-to-day stuff, nothing special, nothing abnormal. But for some reason, the battery was a bit up and down. Sometimes it was outstanding, as you can see here, almost 3 hours at 50%, and sometimes it was pretty average, not even giving you 2 hours at 50%. Anyways, so further down, 48% again. I made a few phone calls as well. By the way, the speaker call quality is very good. I was really impressed. In fact, it's so loud that I had to put it down because it was hurting my ear at one point. Okay, down to 5%, guys, and I was able to squeeze out 4 hours and 42 minutes of screen on time. This is the highest I got in this phone, and that was probably on a very good day when the phone was in a good mood, and it was able to give me some really good screen on time. So at 5%, I was streaming, as you can see up here, with my Bose headphones on, listening to music, doing social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, everything, and I was able to squeeze out 4 hours and 42 minutes of screen on time, which, like I said, is the best I've had on this phone so far. Okay, and whilst I was testing it, guys, again another update hit the phone, and this time around it was around 113 meg. I don't know what the optimizations were at the back end, whatever that was, but it did install, and I found out later on that the battery even started even more abnormally, which you will find out in just a moment. Okay, again after the second update, down to 50%, and using Wi-Fi, I was able to squeeze out 2 hours and 10 minutes of screen on time. Again, for some reason, I don't know, like I said, all these readings that you've seen so far, 1 hour and 54, 2.5 hours, nearly 3 hours, and then now you got 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I was finding it very hard to understand how the battery behaves and what's going on at the back end. Sometimes phone was also heating up a bit, which I'll show you in a moment. I took some screenshot. Maybe it's some sort of throttling going on because of the presence of Snapdragon 810 inside, or maybe it's Sony's optimizations trying to fight, and they are probably a tug of war with the Snapdragon. Something was going on at the back end, and I was unable to comprehend what it was. But the results that I was getting with the battery life were telling me very clearly there's something not right at the back. Sometimes it's spectacular, and the next day is just average. Anyways, 50%, and I got 2 hours and 10 minutes of screen on time, down to 5% after a whole day long, and I was able to squeeze out, like I say, I got a lot of phone calls here. The phone was on standby as well, and I was also streaming movies and stuff, and I was able to squeeze out 4 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time. which is again good, because at 50% we were only 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I did not expect this to go beyond 4, but for some reason the lower half of 50%, there wasn't as much drain as it was in the first half of 50%, and I was able to squeeze out 4 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time. Again guys, now this was all Wi-Fi for the first few days. Now then I started testing on 4G. As you can see in the top right corner here, I was in 4G pretty much all day, and around 50% I was streaming music as well, SoundCloud and stuff, and I was able to squeeze out 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now with 4G, obviously it's understandable, of all the phones that I've tested in the last year or 2 years or many years, 4G battery timings are always lower than Wi-Fi, because obviously the radio transistor in the phone takes much more power out of the battery as compared to a Wi-Fi transmitter. So obviously there is a difference. Well, this is again normal, nothing exceptional. 1 hour 45 minutes, that's what pretty much LG G4 and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge get as well when you put them on 4G. Even the OnePlus 2 gives you around the same time of battery when you're on 4G. And then further down to 4% guys on 4G are streaming music as well, doing lots of social media, Google Plus, WhatsApp, Facebook and all that kind of stuff, making phone calls and stuff. I was able to squeeze, in fact I was actually doing a lot of YouTube here as well. That's why I took this screenshot, because I wanted to let you guys know that I also streamed a couple of videos on YouTube. I think they were all averaging about 10 minutes, so almost I would say half an hour of YouTube, and streaming music via my Bluetooth headphones as well. And I was able to squeeze out 3 hours and 18 minutes of screen on time, which is, I would say, just little below average when you use the phone on 4G alone only. So here I was able to squeeze just close to 3.5 hours, but not too bad, because I was using YouTube here a lot guys. If you're going to be streaming a video or you're going to be going on YouTube, then even on 4G you probably will be able to squeeze less than what you expect. With 4G, with normal surfing and browsing, WhatsApping, social media, you expect around 3.5 hours of screen on time, and you have a bit of difference here is because of YouTube, and YouTube sucks a lot out of 4G when you're using the battery with YouTube. Okay, again guys, using 4G again down to 50%, and I was able to squeeze out 2 hours and 26 minutes. Now here, this was a very strange day again. The same abnormality that I've spoken to you about guys. I was completely on 4G. I remember the screenshot very clearly. I put the phone on silent so that I remember that I could tell you guys in the video. On this particular screenshot, I was using 4G only and no Wi-Fi at all, even though the graph shows here, but this shows Wi-Fi because in the settings there, it's always scanning at the back end, which there's an option there which I've turned on. If I was to switch that option off, you won't see that on Wi-Fi, but if I switch that option off, then my Wi-Fi goes off when the phone is on standby mode. I didn't want that. That's why I always leave it on. But I can assure you that I was using 4G all day long on this, and after 50%, the phone was, even with YouTube and WhatsApp, I was able to squeeze almost 2.5 hours of screen on time with 4G. And I was, even though absolutely delighted, but still a bit shocked, because well, like I said, the one day you're getting only 2 hours of screen on time, or maybe less than that, and the next day you're getting 2.5 hours on 4G. So again, I was happy, but obviously shocking at the same time as well. And then when I finished that day, all day on 4G, at around 6%, I took another screenshot and 4G, and after using YouTube and WhatsApp and Facebook, and like I said, social media and all that, I was able to squeeze 4 hours and 33 minutes of screen on time, and this was on 4G pure alone only. Again, I was happy, like I said, but at the same time shocked as well, because I couldn't really understand how the phone was working, why the battery was like that, topsy-turvy, up and down. Well, anyways, maybe it was the Snapdragon 810, like I said, or Sony's optimizations. I couldn't really figure it out, to be honest, guys. Okay, here I tested how fast will it take for the phone to charge. Now the phone has a Snapdragon 810 Z5 and it also supports fast charging. So I charged the phone with my Motorola Turbo fast charger, guys. This is the charger I used. As you guys know, most of you, this is one of the fastest chargers around possible, and it also supports Qualcomm's Quick Charge 2.0. So I used Motorola's quick charger to charge the phone. I put the battery, put the charger on the phone at 1842 when the battery was down to 5%, and around 1934 it was up to 66%. So in less than an hour, it almost got me 70% of battery life. And then at 2024, it was 98%. So in under 2 hours, it was almost almost up to 100%. So I mean, it's fast charging, yeah, but I don't know. The phone didn't really impress me. I thought it probably would have charged the phone by maybe an hour and a half, maybe less than that, but it didn't really. But still fast enough for most people anyway. So not that big of a problem. So fast charging, it supports it, but I wasn't really impressed with the Motorola turbocharger for some reason anyway. Okay, now this is here where I took another standby time, and this time around, as you can see, there's a plus sign next to the battery sign here, and this goes to show the stamina mode. The Sony stamina mode is supposed to drain less battery out, but to my surprise, at 120, I left the phone fully charged, unplugged, with stamina mode on, and the next day at 13:43, I was down to 90%, and I was a bit like shocking because in less than in about 12 hours time, it lost almost 10% of battery. I couldn't take this reading again guys, because it's taking far too long, but I think stamina mode is also a bit funny, and this is also down to whatever that is, the optimizations, the tug of war between Snapdragon 810 or Sony's optimizations, whatever that is. I do not know, but for some reason certain things are very abnormal, and this is probably one of the few phones I've seen in the last few years which is really really weird and acts very abnormally when it comes to battery life. That's why when I read online reviews, I was also confused myself. Some reviews are saying the battery is good, some are saying the battery is bad, some are saying the battery is average, and this is clearly what it shows to me. On a day-to-day usage, you can't really figure out the battery is good or bad. I don't know how far those people have tested the phone, maybe for a few days or a week or 2 weeks or a month, I don't know, but after living with the phone for 2 weeks, I am completely lost and confused. I don't know what is going on at the back end, but somehow someday battery will be excellent and the other day battery will be average. Anyways, I started using the phone, and I also took a screenshot, and I found out that the Phone Genie app that I had installed, that was taking 41%, and maybe this was the culprit, and it definitely is, because 41% is a very high ratio. And then I had to manually go in and force stop the app, Phone Genie app, and then I could not test it again, but it's most likely that it's the Phone Genie app. But then again, if it was only the Phone Genie app, why was the phone consuming 30% on self standby? Doesn't make sense. Okay, I take the blame. I had the app, even though a phone and Android should have killed this app themselves. I don't have to forcefully close it. This is Android Lollipop, one of the latest Android iterations. Why do we have to go and force stop apps and keep an eye on it? Even though if I was to take the blame for Phone Genie app on my own, why would the standby be on 30%? But like I said, there's definitely something going on the back end in this phone. I don't know what it is. Even the phone idle time, look at that, 19%. I do not know, seriously. So I was a bit confused, and if you guys can probably figure it out, if you have a Sony Xperia Z5 and you probably have more in-depth knowledge than me, then please do share your experience in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to hear from you guys out. Anyway, okay, so after 12 hours and 22 minutes, lost 10%, like I said guys, on stamina mode. Okay, this was where the phone actually started heating up a bit, and I took a screenshot by installing the CPU Z app, guys, and as you can see, in some thermal sensors it was going up to 50%, even beyond 50%, which was dangerously high. Now those of you who follow me on my social media, Google Plus, Twitter and Facebook, I did post this on my social media. I'm sure those of you watching, you must have seen that already. This was only the one time the Xperia Z5 actually got really really hot. Apart from that, in the last 2 weeks it hasn't really got hot on 4G or Wi-Fi, but this was particularly on 4G. For prolonged use, I was using 4G for nearly 2 hours, and the phone really started heating up for some reason. Anyways, okay, then down to 6%, guys, and after using it on 4G and a bit of mix, I think I did use a bit of Wi-Fi as well. Yeah, I did use a bit of Wi-Fi, and I was able to squeeze out 3 hours and 54 minutes of screen on time. So if you're going to be using Wi-Fi and 4G, you're likely to get more screen on time than alone on 4G only. Again, down to 49% using 4G Wi-Fi, and in the last few days I started using it mixed. I used a bit of 4G, bit of Wi-Fi, so that I could have an idea and give you guys, let you know, if you're going to be having a mixed use like Wi-Fi and 4G both, how would the battery be like. Again, guys, I was streaming music from SoundCloud, WhatsApping as well, Facebooking and everything, the normal regular stuff, and I was able to squeeze out 1 hour and 51 minutes of screen on time. It was a mixed use with 4G and Wi-Fi, and by the time I finished my day with YouTubing and social media and stuff and everything else, I was able to squeeze out 3 hours and 52 minutes of screen on time. So if you're going to be using it for 4G and Wi-Fi mix, you're going to get probably close to 4 hours. If you're going to be using Wi-Fi only, you're bound to get 4.5 hours. But if at times you find the battery a bit funny, don't panic, because the phone is supposed to be acting abnormally anyway. I'm hoping with Marshmallow, which is due very soon, sometime early next year, hopefully things are going to be more stable and the phone will act a bit more, constantly giving us some good battery life instead of acting abnormally. Again, mixed uses, guys, and I was able to squeeze out 1 hour and 51 minutes, and again with mixed uses, eventually I got a total screen on time of 3 hours and 46 minutes, and this was probably, I think, the last screenshot. No, I got one more here. I took another one, guys, and again I was able to get 1 hour and 33 minutes of screen on time, and then at the end I was able to squeeze out around 6% at 2 hours. Now this was the, I think probably the second last screenshot, yes. And again the battery was a bit funny here again for some reason. Like I said, I was using Wi-Fi and 4G both, but I wasn't even able to squeeze out more than 3 hours, which was really shocking, and I did not know what was going on. Again, like I said guys, at times the battery is a bit funny, so you will find that when you start using your Xperia Z5. Here again guys, 50%, 2 hours and 3 minutes, and then right at the end 3 hours and 56 minutes of screen on time. And this was the last screenshot guys that I took. So the battery wise, I would say guys, it's a bit topsy-turvy. At times the phone gives you exceptional battery life like I showed, and sometimes it would just give you an average battery life. Is the Snapdragon or the Sony's optimizations? I'm not too sure guys, but this is where we stand at the moment. One of the most confusing battery phones I've had in the last couple of years, but this is what the true picture I found in the last 2 weeks. Guys, any questions? I'm sure you have plenty. Please ask me in the comment section. Like always guys, give my video a thumbs up if you like it, and please subscribe to my channel as it helps. And like I said, any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll be more than happy to discuss the battery life on the phone. And I will see you in the next video.